All right.
Does that mean I can go?
Yes, sir.
And welcome to Season 1, Episode 7 of the Computer Action Show. My name is Brian. With me, for the first time ever, is Chris.
Hey, Brian. Today in computer history, which is November 9th, 2004, Firefox 1.0 was released. Firefox, sometimes abbreviated as FF, Brian, was Mozilla's next-generation browser and included such features as tab browsing and a pop-up blocker. Mozilla Firefox became a popular alternative for the Microsoft Internet Explorer, sometimes abbreviated as IE. Users who sought alternative browsers could now find something to help against spyware and had many other hosted features built into the Firefox browser.
All right, I have several things I would like to talk about this.
About FF?
But yeah, first let's talk about this FF
I've never abbreviated Firefox
Sometimes
as FF.
abbreviated as FF.
Now,
it literally says this. I'm looking over here. It says that right there. No one in the history of computing has ever done that. That has not been done.
Does it seem like Firefox has been around longer since 2004?
You mean 5 years?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but yeah, it does seem like it's been around longer than 5 years.
You gotta give the Mozilla guys a nod here because tab browsing and built-in pop-up blocking were not a normal standard feature.
No, they definitely added those features to that type of software.
In 2004, were we still in 2004? IE6 was still around.
Yeah,
that makes you realize how ancient Internet Explorer 6 is, and there's still clowns out there using it.
Okay, but here's the thing.
All right, what's the thing, Brian?
You remember how we had Internet Explorer and Netscape back then?
Yeah, I do.
You remember how those browsed the web?
Yeah.
You remember that? That was remember that. Remember 2003, prior to 2004, back when you could browse the web.
Sorry about.
You gave a little burp there. It was a little tasty. But you remember that?
Yeah,
you remember
I do.
when we browsed the web?
That, yeah.
Then you remember when quote unquote FF came out. Remember how you could browse the web still, and it was
with
the same web?
With tabs, Brian.
It was like nothing new.
Actually, Firefox 1.0,
how is this history?
I recall, was quite crashy.
It was horrible.
Well, it did change a lot of things, though. It changed the web browser landscape, Brian.
What?
And you got to give credit for that.
It was basically Netscape. It was a watered down at that time version of Netscape.
Right.
It was Netscape without all the features that made Netscape Communicator.
Pop-up blocking and tab browsing.
I believe Netscape Communicator had pop-up blocking.
I think you just
didn't have
hating
tab
on
browsing.
Firefox.
Well, I'm just saying it's not that historical, is what I'm saying.
All right.
Here.
Well,
like,
maybe
day
you're right.
in history.
Maybe you're not.
Now here, let's just do a quick random experience. Go back one day.
I'll go back one day.
All right. What was happening on November 8th?
Damn it. All right, Brian. On November 8th, 1923, the integrated circuit co-inventor Kilby is born. Jack Kilby is born in Jefferson City. After several years of study, I was just going to skip right over.
Yeah, Chris having a hard time figuring out what MO stood for. They should really, you're doing great. They had Jefferson City, Missouri, sometimes abbreviated as MO.
Yeah, I know. That would be awesome. Okay, so yes, true. The day before, the co-inventor of the integrated circuit was born, and that is a little more historic than Firefox.
So that made everything possible and was totally awesome and historical and interesting. How about the day before that? Just out of curiosity, let's just so far.
November 7th,
it's
1960.
1 for 1. Ooh, okay.
The JOS operating system comes to life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big friggin' deal.
Yeah, it's kind of boring though.
What do you mean it's kind of boring?
Well, it was an operating system that was designed around time sharing on big old mainframes.
You mean like computers used to be?
Like computers used to be, and
you mean a big multitasking time sharing system in the old days?
Right.
I'm like, come on, dude.
Okay, also a bigger deal than Firefox.
That's badass.
Right.
Like if we were around on September 7th in 1960 and this guy was like, hey, check out this new JOS operating system with awesome time sharing, we'd be like, are you freaking kidding me? That's the awesomest thing ever. What did Firefox bring to the table? Tabs.
Hey, I like tabs.
I like tabs too. I'm just saying it's not that historical. Like, I'm sorry, but is it a historical thing that when the new version of IE comes out, it has tabs? No, of course not.
Well,
it's not that big of a deal.
Because Firefox already had them, hence
tabs.
the historical nature.
Freaking tabs, man. It's tabs. It's a tab.
Brian,
it's a tab.
Do you like tabs? I notice you have a tab open right now.
You know what? I do. I'm not saying tabs are bad.
That's a nice Firefox browser you have there, Brian.
Just like the specific version of gedit I have on this laptop here.
Also
when it was released, you know what? That's not worldwide. Oh my God, computer everything changed news. It's just it's just a good version of a piece of software.
We went 2 days back to see what the historical thing was. Going 1 day forward, November 10th, 1983, Microsoft introduces Windows. So what I basically did was pick the most boring historical thing for the opening of the show.
Humanly possible. Wait a minute. All right. Just one day forward more, because we're not going to use it anyway. What's
one
on
more
November
day
11th?
forward? Time-sharing pioneer is born. Robert Fanano, or whatever.
Yep.
Fano.
Yep.
Who led the project at MAC at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology,
Yep.
is born in Toronto, Italy. In Torino, Italy. Fanano built with his students at MIT when he was a director project. God, what? These
Hold on. Chris,
These
hold on.
paragraphs are put together
No.
horribly for skimming
Totally
while
hard.
you're reading
Wait a
on
minute,
the
really.
air.
Fano built on his studies at MIT when he directed
Yeah,
Project
well, you're reading
MAC,
it
which
now.
focused on developments in time
Right,
sharing
moving
and
forward,
interactive
moving
computing.
forward, that's boring.
I'm just saying,
Let's move forward.
it's still a big deal. It's still a big thing.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, that's a cool one.
MIT's TXO computer turned on for the first time in 1980. I mean, come
So-
on. There's so much awesome computer news happening this week throughout history, but this week we picked the stupidest thing ever, and the only thing that was interesting about it was that Firefox is sometimes
I thought
abbreviated
maybe people listening
FF.
or watching might find it interesting, Brian, that they might use the Firefox web browser. I am sorry.
All right. Shall we move forward?
All right. So, this week we got an opportunity to go down to a local PC manufacturer, Puget Systems, and they build systems here right in Washington State for people like enthusiasts and for
All
home
over
and small
the
businesses.
United States of America.
They've got they go all over the place, and they've
do.
got basic desktops to high-end, super high-end machines. And we got a chance to run down there with our cameras. And in a couple upcoming episodes, we're going to have the footage we shot with those guys. We just did it yesterday. We got back. We had a good time.
Yeah, great
really
time.
interesting stuff coming up. So stay tuned for that. We'll definitely have some in the next episode of the Computer Action Show.
For surezies.
I thought maybe we'd say holler to our boys over at GoDaddy.com.
Well, that's just crazy, because starting at just $3.99 a month, Linux shared hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime. Get this, Chris.
Okay.
24/7 support and free access to GoDaddy Hosting Connection, the place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most from your hosting plan and website. Plus, as a listener of the Computer Action Show, enter code Linux. That's LINUX. I know what you're saying. You listen to the Computer Action Show and you use macOS. You use Haiku. You use Windows. You know what? It's okay to type Linux anyway. I'm just saying. It's not going to hurt you. And if you do it, when you check out, you'll save an additional 10% on any order. Some restrictions, of course, may apply. See site for details. Get your internet now at GoDaddy.com.
Thank you, GoDaddy.com, and thank you all those out there who use those promo codes.
You betcha.
I appreciate it very much.
It keeps the lights on.
Brian, it's helpful when the people out there think of us. And, of course, we also have our promo code Linux20 if you want to save 20% off shared hosting. Just enter Linux20 into your shopping cart, and amazing things will happen. Now, I did want to give a shout out. We've had a few people send me a tweet saying that they had
A tweet?
Yes, they did.
Holy moly.
They sent me a tweet saying they bought a website with our promo code. I wanted to give them a shout. However, Twitter is down right now.
Yeah, the web page is not available is what's going on. Not even a cool Twitter fail whale.
No.
It's just Twitter is not available.
So what I'm going to do is I'll give them a link in our show.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. So I'll give them a link in our show notes anyways, though, because finding them here in the it was Jay Berg, and he didn't give me the URL just yet. But if he gives me the URL before I put the show out, we'll give him a little link in the show notes. As
there you
thank
go.
You.
Good times.
All right, guys. I think it's just about time.
What?
Let's do the news.
Okay. Right on to the next. Going right on to the next. You ready, Chris?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. In 5, 4.
I'm totally not ready.
3, 2.
I'm totally not ready. I don't have any of my news stories.
Oh, I'm ready.
I started reading my Twitter feed.
3.
Twitter the times think, you guys.
3.5.
What do you think our top story
You're
should be?
coming up now. Well, OpenSusa releases in like 2 or 3 days.
I think Skype to
4
go open
days.
source should be our top story.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Then we'll do the releases.
Mandriva,
And then
and,
we'll
and
do-
don't forget OpenSUSE, which we'll
Well,
just
we're
mention.
reviewing
Yeah,
them.
I know, but I'm saying.
I think I got visuals for everything. Well, not really for the Skype one.
Oh, we can do Skype.
Actually, I do have for the Skype.
Yeah, so there you go, right there.
Why? Fuck, the lights keep flickering.
Oh, that's my magnetic personality.
Oh, it's that thing going on and off. It's the heat rag going on and off.
I'm going riding on the heat
Let me make
ray.
sure you get the.
Make sure.
The buzz.
Heat ray buzz. I'm gonna hang out here, you guys.
Hello, everybody. Chris here, leaning over Jeremy. Gotta rub my wiener on him.
Gay 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 gay. Mr. Gay Man. Yes. Bring me your wing. Boom boom boom.
Also make her deal with fire. You don't want to do. No. Oh, but now they're going to move.
Oh.
I'm ready. You ready?
Schools out for summer.
Let's do this. Let's do this, you guys.
Schools.
It is go time.
Out
There's go daddy time.
forever.
All right. In
3,
5,
2,
2,
gay.
3.
What? Come on, I want to
In
get some
5,
I know. In 2.
penis.
You guys, I apologize. It stinks too. I apologize.
Jeremy doesn't have to have it.
Yeah.
It's just a present for me.
Yeah.
All right.
You're already
Jesus, fuck.
You-
Oh, it took a second to hit me, dude.
yeah. Can't wait for Beer's Tasty. All right, here we go.
All right, right.
You're already rolling.
Right. What's new in the news this week?
Oh, all right, Brian. Our top story on the news docket.
That was pretty epic.
Thank you, sir.
I like that. For those of you listening to the audio version, Chris did a totally mega awesome
I had to do a little
head
wind-up.
roll. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
So, Brian, a top story on the news docket for this week.
Yes.
Skype eventually plans to go open source. What do you think about this? What do you think?
So did they have a time frame on going open source?
No, that's too specific, Brian. Here's one of the reasons they don't, though, is Skype, their legal situation has been in the news lately.
Yeah.
The founders of Skype actually retained some of the rights to some of the Skype core technology when they sold to eBay.
That's such a good move. Man, eBay really screwed the pooch on
eBay
that one.
spent billions. Now,
Did not get the rights to the software.
now eBay is
So
trying
awesome.
to dump Skype to a consortium, but they didn't have all the rights to sell it.
I want to be clear about this. I feel really bad for eBay for how much money they spent on Skype, and now they really don't even have
and,
Skype.
and they're doing nothing with it.
And I just think it's really friggin' ridiculous
crazy.
how stupid they were on this
So,
one.
as of
Way
today,
to go, Skype founders. Is all I'm going to say.
as of today, I believe the Skype situation is now sort of been resolved as far as all the legal stuff goes.
That's good.
The Skype co-founders have agreed to transfer the remaining Skype technology ownership to eBay, which gives eBay the ability to now sell it to these this consortium who will do whatever they're going to do with it.
Interesting.
As part of the deal, the original co-founders will each retain a 14% stake in that consortium, and
Okay.
so therefore Skype. Now, once this whole transition from eBay has been complete, that's when it's believed that they'll begin the process of going open source.
Interesting.
So, interesting development. Now, Skype is...
Now, is this every version of Skype, or is this just like the protocol, like the
You know,
stack?
there hasn't been a lot of details, but one thing that looks like it's going to be the protocol and maybe a new version of the Skype client.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be great because honestly,
And
my biggest issue with Skype right now is that there are a few bugs on each specific platform. Like on Linux, it has a hard time dealing with like audio devices. And man, if we could just open that up and let someone fix it, that would just be stellar.
Absolutely. It's a critical piece of software now that a lot of people use just for basic communication, like across somebody that's traveling, things like
Yeah,
that. It's really kind of become like the de facto way to communicate for cheap.
Skype is great.
Yeah.
Skype is just great. That's all there is to that.
I have to agree with your face, Brian.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you. My face appreciates it.
Moving on, the next story on the news docket for this week. Red Hat releases a virtualization manager that requires Windows.
So, what does that mean?
So Red Hat has this software to manage a bunch of VMs that run on Red Hat servers.
Okay.
And the gotcha with the software is that it requires a Windows server and a Windows client, XP.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand.
So the uproar is that I go with the Linux server systems and I go with Linux virtualization infrastructure, and then to manage it, I have to load Windows server, a Windows 2003 server, and an XP client to manage my Linux infrastructure.
Now, do they have like a Linux like alternative to this? Like if you don't want to have these Windows, so
here's the thing.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Here's the thing. Red Hat ended up buying some software, and it was a software originally called Solid Ice. And it was built on some technology that they purchased for like around $107 million.
Wow.
A couple of years ago. That software was designed and created for Windows.
Sure.
So Red Hat has now rebranded it and modified it and is now re-releasing it under their brand, but it still requires Windows to run.
Okay.
Now, what they're considering doing is they're working, they say, fast-paced on a Linux client that'll let you manage the infrastructure on a Linux server and using a Linux desktop. But right now, they're not sure if they're going to go the Java route, or get this, they might also, which is already underway, they might just get behind it, is a version that runs on Linux written in mono.
What?
Yeah.
Are you joking with me?
No. So
wait a minute.
Red Hat's considering developing their own in-house Java version.
I'm just going to be clear on something here. I want to make sure I don't misunderstand this. I don't want to misunderestimate Red Hat on this one. Okay. So Red Hat bought, rebranded, and is selling proprietary closed source Windows-only software.
Yes.
In order to utilize Linux software.
Correct.
So you have to buy Red Hat's proprietary Windows software. And the alternative they're thinking about to do this
it's also closed source, by the way.
Yeah, that's what
they're going to open source it eventually.
Sure. Is to rewrite it in mono, which they've stated will destroy us all.
They haven't quite decided yet about mono. Right now, their plan is probably write it in Java, but then also add support for a community project to rewrite in mono.
This is making my head explode. I'm sorry. I got.
Here, I'll read the quote to you. Okay.
I need the quote here.
We need to make the transition to open technologies, such as Java, quickly. And there is work to get a .NET application to run in mono anyways. Anything that is written in mono will run anywhere. But if something is written in .NET on Windows, there's no guarantee it'll work on mono on Linux. So what they're saying here is the people that are making the effort to recreate it in mono, the suggestion was put to them, why don't you just write the application in .NET, and then you can run on Windows or Linux, and then their suggestion was, well, if it's written in .NET, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to run under mono.
Well, it actually does, depending on the version of .NET you choose.
Sure,
but, yeah.
Sure. There's a community project get underway, so they're just going to kind of, support that. They're hoping that everything will be open source and Linux or Windows by next year. Now, one of the things Red Hat suggested is if you have a big problem with that, just load up a Windows server inside a Red Hat virtual machine. I would say from a technology standpoint, it's completely inappropriate for the system that's responsible for managing your virtual machines to be inside a virtual machine itself, because if you have issues where you cannot connect your virtual machines, you're totally boned. Yeah.
So basically what you need to end up having is you need to have a completely separate virtual stack, which you can't really do and have hardware-supported virtualization on the same machines. You can't actually do that.
Right.
So you're screwed. So basically, Red Hat's selling closed source proprietary Windows software.
Well, okay.
So yes.
But they do plan
B, a potential future option that they do not yet have worked out is that they want to embrace mono. And C, they haven't actually thought through the process upon which you might actually do this in the real world.
Well, here's the pluses, though. As Red Hat builds the virtualization management suite for Linux, they're going to make a migration path to switch from the Windows version to the Linux version as painless as possible. Plus, if you're a subscriber of the Red Hat network, you're going to get the update for free.
I think I just had a brain aneurysm.
All right.
I'm just saying, like,
that's fair to have an aneurysm right now.
What is the deal? Like the last time Red Hat mentioned anything that had to do with virtualization, it didn't make any sense. Like, you remember what I'm talking about? Like, they switched over their main virtualization infrastructure
from Zen to KVM.
It didn't make any sense. Now they're coming out with this, and it doesn't make any sense.
They probably had pressure to release this application on the market as fast as possible, and the fact that it ran Windows was just a condition of the situation.
How can anyone get behind Red Hat at this point.
It only runs on Server 2003. It is not compatible with Server 2008.
So here's the thing: if you are a kind of Microsofty kind of guy, you're going to look at Red Hat and go, "Well, Microsoft's always bad mouthing you, and so of course you can't support their stuff because they're just jerks and they're not going to support you."
Or you don't use Red Hat's virtualization management suite. You use something like
Well, no, but I mean, like
Promox or something.
let's say like you're a Windows dev or a Windows IT shop, and you're looking at maybe having some Windows Server. The Red Hat CEO comes out routinely to badmouth Windows and Microsoft.
It's an uncomfortable situation where you have to say you have to use our competitor's product to manage our product.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you're a heavy open source Linux guy, you're going to be looking at this and going, well, I can't even go the Linux open source route with Red Hat. I have to use Windows. They tell me I have to use Windows. So what exactly market are they appealing to? It's not Windows guys. It's not Linux guys. So who?
The reality is
It's
a
confusing
lot
to
of
me.
shops are
I know they're mixed.
They're mixed.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, just the same. I mean, who are they appealing to? Like, I can be mixed and have nothing to do with Red Hat.
Yeah.
And save a crap ton of money, and I won't have to deal with all this
You know what,
garbage.
Brian? You are mixed
I don't know.
and have nothing to do with Red Hat.
That's a really good point, actually, you just made.
All right, Brian, moving on. The next story on the news docket for this week. Mandriva 2010.0 has been released.
Fancy.
Mandriva 2010.0 comes with many fancy features. On the top of the list is the fancy, shiny, happy KDE 4.3, GNOME 2.28, a Moblin desktop version. You know, that's that little mobile guy we're going to talk about here in a
people
second.
love the Moblin.
OpenOffice 3.11,
I'll
and all
say
these other
what?
things. Of course, they've also thrown in a bunch of great support for Asus EEE PCs. So if you've got a netbook or an Aspire One or an MSI Wind, Mandriva is specifically going to be looking for those kinds of install base, those users to install because they've put a ton of work into that. And then now Mandriva also offers their live CD, their free edition, and if you want to pay for it, you get the Power Pack edition, which includes things like codecs and a few other
Yeah, the codecs is a big deal right off the bat.
There's a few other nice little halves too. They have Acrobat PDF Reader, Adobe Flash, things like that.
Yeah.
I think it also ships with the actual binary drivers for different video cards. Now,
plus, you get to see that you have a 2010 operating system before 2010 even arrives.
Now, this release is a handsome release, Brian. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at some of
it looks
these
phenomenal.
Things, but they ship it with
it's gorgeous looking.
They ship it with a screensaver that uses like these really nice high-res fancy photos with all these different effects.
Nice
and the desktop
effects.
itself is looking real nice. They bring it. They bring the KDE.
It's high quality.
They bring their touch, their Mandriva look to KDE. That's kind of an established Mandriva look and feel, which I think actually works pretty well.
It's impressive.
It's a little Windows 2000-y, but at the same time, it's also not
is.
If you're switching from Windows, you're not jumping into a cold pool after you just got out of a hot tub.
Though that's actually a lot of fun sometimes. Opens up the pores. I'm just saying.
It can be a little harsh, though.
People, it's a healthy thing. I'm just saying it's healthy.
They included a data migration wizard that if you've been a KDE 3 user and now you think now is time to switch to KDE 4, you're going to be able to migrate your data over to KDE 4. Bada boom, bada bing.
Oh, that's handy.
They're going to have an hourly backup option if you're using KDE Desktop using a Plasma widget that's going to automatically do backups and things like that. And then they've also brought all of the latest things of like media players and all that kind of stuff that you would expect to see in a new release.
Now, have we heard any kind of rumblings? Because KDE or Mandriva has like their own online backup service, similar to like Ubuntu One and whatnot.
Maybe that's what it uses. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'd be curious to see like if they have any sort of integration. I wasn't able to find it in the notes
this
there.
Is kind of
but
by default on the GNOME desktop, they're shipping it with the PTV, the I don't know exactly how to pronounce it.
PTV, the video editor.
Yeah, they're shipping it with version 0.13.3. Which is it's a great way for them to go to integrate in basic video editing into the Linux desktop. Yeah.
Actually, if you look through like the list of notes that are available here of what's actually included, I think they did a really nice job of picking the right applications on the GNOME side of things to ship a really modern desktop. And I think honestly, Ubuntu could take some cues from some of this. I would like to see more distros grab like a good video editor and move the web browser over to like Epiphany and whatnot.
And the PTV or whatever is a good looking editor that looks like it's you look at it and it looks like
works.
It makes sense. And, now one thing that's kind of interesting is if you like to get your cutting edge on, they're including the GNOME shell for GNOME 3.0. They're including that as an installable option to play around with, so you don't have to totally scrap GNOME 2.8. But you can still play around with the GNOME shell.
You can jump into 3.0.
Yeah, just to give it a gander. And of course, they are shipping it with with a Moblin version. So if you want to load
Everybody
Mandriva.
loves Moblin.
They do, dude.
Moblin's becoming a big freaking deal.
Oh, they also
is
have
all
a
I'm
sugar.
saying.
They also have a sugar desktop.
Do they
edition.
really?
Yeah. So
A sugar version of Mandriva.
you bet. And then
Well, that's
the
kind of interesting.
remember Elisa, right? The Elisa Media Center
Yep,
from
they
Fluendo.
renamed to Movida a couple
Movida,
months back.
They're including Movida in there. And
Ooh, I
so,
like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Movida. Movida is in terms of media centers is my favorite right now. It's just
gotcha.
awesome.
So really
It
nice.
just
release.
looks good.
Good release from these guys.
Huh.
They've also thrown in a lot of weight. So, like Ubuntu goes with KVM, Fedora goes with KVM. Mandriva's going VirtualBox for their virtualization solution. They're including
Really?
VirtualBox built in, or included as a package,
Right.
version 3.08, and that's their
awesome.
solution, which is really a great desktop virtualization.
You know what?
solution.
And honestly, to me, that makes more sense because because
Yeah, I
KVM and
agree.
all that, those are not exactly like desktop user friendly.
Exactly.
Whereas VirtualBox is great. You can run anything in
I
that
agree.
as a desktop user, and it makes sense.
I totally
so,
agree.
Honestly, I'm looking at this. Mandrake was a big deal back in the day, and Mandriva kind of got sidelined for a while. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, it kind
They're
of
kinda-
fell
they're-
in the shadow. But
Punches are being thrown with this one, though. I mean, this is
big punches.
They're covering the netbook territory. They're covering KDE and GNOME. They're covering ultra mobile devices with Moblin. They're covering more. They're addressing more of what desktop users need as far as virtualization goes. And on that note, I should mention too that VirtualBox 3.10 has just been released.
3.0.10. Yep.
Yeah, right. Sorry. And
Come on, man. Get with it.
If you're virtualizing in Windows, it's probably one you want to grab because in their Windows Edition they added. That's what they call it. Additions it's kind of like their tool set that you install
Right.
into the guest to improve performance. things
Basically,
like
it's
that.
like a series of drivers.
They've included a lot of fixes for Windows guests in those editions, so you probably want
Nice.
to check it out. And then they've also got a few fixes if you're running VirtualBox on the Macintosh operating system known as Mac OS 10. So there you have it, Brian.
The latest versions of VirtualBox have been great.
Yeah.
I mean, once they started adding all the 3D support for the guests, so that you could run like Compiz inside of Linux guests. Oh man,
Totally.
they had me at that one.
All right, Brian. The next story on the news docket for this week. Motorola Droid is hitting the streets, and we've got our first hands-on impressions from the different reviewers. Now, a popular question that I've gotten from viewers and listeners is, hey, Chris, can you recommend a good Android-based phone that runs on the Verizon network? That's a CDMA network here in the States.
I think we can now.
Yeah, we can now. And the impressions are really, really positive on this new Droid. The Motorola Droid, first of all, is Motorola's take on Android, and they've got a slide-out physical keyboard with a nice bright screen. The overall, the impressions say keyboard is probably actually a little too small to use, and most people are probably going to end up using the virtual keyboard. To that and Motorola,
But the virtual keyboard can't be any bigger than the physical keyboard.
Well, you could do like where you have the buttons large as you type on them, which makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
They're actually shipping them. This is what people sound like they're more excited about. They're shipping a version in a couple of months or sooner without a physical keyboard, and it's going to be thin.
Really?
With only an on-screen keyboard. Speed's pretty great, which people are a little worried about it because they have like a 500 megahertz range CPU.
Well, this is running Android 2.0
It
right
is.
now.
It's one of the first
one of
2.0
the
devices.
yeah.
Yep.
And Android 2.0 is supposed to be like
Great.
intensely faster.
People are
than the
saying
last
it's
few
very
versions.
polished.
Yeah.
It's still rough in a few areas. Still doesn't have very great 3D performance. People are not super happy about that.
No.
Browser, the web browsing, significantly improved. Overall speed and stability of just applications and menus inside the Android operating system significantly improved, and it's lots of great feedback. If you want to see anything about the Droid, you've got to go over to Engadget. They've done a ton of work on this.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's
over
looking
there.
like a nice little device.
It looks great. I'm honestly like, when the G1s came out, I was excited. I almost jumped. I almost bit the bullet and went with one.
Right.
And now I'm kind of glad I didn't because Android 2.0 is looking great, and a lot of there's kind of doubts as to whether they can fit Android 2.0 on the first G1 devices.
I don't think so, but I'm looking at the feedback for this device, and it still looks like an Android device, and I still don't really totally like the look and feel, but it's looking better. It's on a nice piece of hardware on a great network around here.
Yeah,
it's a
and
great
it
machine.
has. I mean, everyone's going to compare these sorts of phones to an iPhone, and I like this thing has a keyboard and it has a bunch of buttons on the front that are physical, not just one
It does have-
round
yep.
circle. Because seriously, if you just have one button, what the hell did you have a
Yeah,
button
you've
for?
got on the front physical screen. Oh, and this one thing.
It looks
reminds
good.
me. On the front physical screen, you've got a back button, menu button, a home button. Now here is something kind of weird.
Yeah.
No pinch zoom. you zoom using a physical button. So you zoom in, and then you move the screen around where you want to zoom. And I really like pinch zoom.
Well, no. Now here's the thing, though. If you're
pinch zoom on my nav,
you can't do pinch zoom with one hand. That's the problem I have with pinch zoom. So if I've got Google Maps loaded up
so you can
and I'm in the car, right? Now, of course, obviously, I shouldn't be doing this in the car, but we're all gonna load up Google Maps.
Not me, Brian. Never.
Whatever. So here's the problem. If you're doing that in the car, you can just with this Android thumb zoom, boom, boom, boom.
I like thumb
use
zoom.
around your thumb.
I like thumb
and it
zoom.
works. Pinch zoom.
I want both.
Pinch zoom. It's not as useful for me. Pinch zoom, I've got to have both of my hands dedicated to a phone. Who wants to stop doing everything in the world that they're doing just so that they can zoom on a map on their phone?
Everything in the world. I want both, to be honest with you.
I'm just saying, if I want to zoom in, all right, let's speak hypothetically and vague for a moment. I have a camera phone type thing in front of me. I want to zoom in on something so I can get a better look at something.
Okay.
My other hand needs to be free. Is all I'm saying.
Brian.
That's all I'm saying. Well, I'm talking about maps and I'm driving, Chris.
Right,
my hand's on the
maps.
steering wheel and there's
Right.
maps and I'm driving.
Right, okay.
So I need my other hand free so I can on the steering wheel.
gotcha.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
What would you think I meant?
No, I'm totally with you now. I misunderstood. You got one hand on the steering wheel.
Right.
Yeah, or if you need to shift, you got to put one hand on your stick. So.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know where your mind went. You are a dirty bird, Chris.
No.
Chris is a dirty bird.
Dang it. All right, well, moving on, Brian.
Totally
the next
trapped you
story
into that one.
on
That was
our news
fantastic.
docket for this week. Moblin version 2.1 is released.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
Man, it
Moblin.
looks nice. It looks so nice.
Internet tablet for your device. It is gorgeous looking.
It's phenomenal.
This is one of these episodes where if you look in the video version, you see what we're looking at right now. And you're like,
it looks good.
So, oh my gosh, guys, I totally agree with you. You're totally right, Brian.
Absolutely.
and Chris.
It is a oh my gosh sort of thing.
It really is a great looking
It looks
device.
so good.
So here's some of the features that this bad boy has. First of all, they've added 3G support.
Wow, that was loud.
They've added 3G support in the Moblin browser.
I think you just broke my eardrums with your clapping.
In
there,
the Moblin
dude.
OS. Clutter 1.0. They've got
Nice,
Clutter support.
nice.
Tell the peeps at home what Clutter is.
Everyone knows about Clutter, don't you? It is the totally awesome 3D framework for that. It sits on top of OpenGL, makes it very nice to create very cool, animated, awesome interfaces. You know, you're not making like 3D like walk around interfaces, but it's cool for like having the zoom and floosh and the swiping in and out and the vom-voms and the fades
and the wah-wahs.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah.
Clutter's great.
They also now have an integrated application installer. The Moblin application installer is integrated and provides a locally categorized list of applications that you can choose to install. So it's like an apt-get database kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
All right. Connection Manager now lets you switch between your 3G connection, which you may have now that you've had support.
Yep, of course.
WiMAX, Wi-Fi,
Bluetooth,
exactly, all that stuff. They've
awesome.
They've also added support for many different languages that didn't have before, including French, German, Swedish, Korean, Japanese, Chinese.
Wow.
And, of course, Brazilian and Portuguese.
This is a pretty good update for just 2.1.
I know. That's what I thought.
They're really cranking along on this project.
So check out this Bluetooth device support that they've improved. Bluetooth device discovery and pairing now supported via a new panel in the toolbar, which supports Bluetooth audio devices and input devices such as keyboards and mice. Also, file transfer and using your phone as a 3G modem.
That's awesome.
That is a ton of great stuff. First of all, how much? Okay, take your
Now I can do that with my Memo device.
Take your N900 here, or your 98. Oh, what is this thing?
N810.
N810, full size keyboard. Would be nice.
It would be great. I got to say that would be great. Now, I mean, I'm really comparing Moblin. Now, here's the thing. When you look at Moblin, though,
this is an OS for pretty much anything. If you're comparing against the N900, which comes with Memo already preloaded,
it's a whole different deal. But
are you holding out for the N900?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be picking up an
N900.
See, here's the thing, though. The Android 2.0 devices are looking great.
I know.
And the N900 is phenomenal looking. Basically, the difference is the N900 is nicer looking and has far more performance and capabilities than the Android devices currently. But the Android devices have more applications available.
But you could, like, on it now, if this pans out, like it has with the N810, you could load Android on the N810.
You can load it out. Yeah, I've had it on here before.
So if the N900 works out where you can load multiple different operating systems.
It's not that big a deal.
That is That's awesome.
That is
That's
awesome.
perfect.
Now I'm looking over here at Moblin, and really Moblin's made for net tops, right? So basically, internet tablets, essentially like this, is what they're made for.
Right.
They're made for mobile internet devices. I want to see shipping mobile internet devices with Moblin, so I can really see what a polished, fully supported experience as out of the box. Because currently, all you can really do is throw them on netbooks and
I'm
enjoy
playing the
it.
Moblin video right now for people.
But you know, I really want to see what it's going to be like as a shipping supported device.
I'm playing it in this. I'm playing people. If you go over to moblin.org, there is a video of the Moblin UI.
It looks great.
It is truly outstanding. That's the audio you're hearing right now if you're just listening to the audio version. And it looks really good.
And the latest updates from your friends.
So if you're curious what Moblin looks like, head over to moblin.org and check that out.
Using the Moblin tool.
All right.
Nice.
So,
nice.
last story is also going to kind of feed into our next review, so we'll save it for the next segment.
Well,
but,
that's crazy talk.
By the time this show is kind of hitting the internet waves, OpenSUSE 11.2 should be released.
It'll be released, I think, a day later than this show comes out.
That's what I'm saying.
Or 2 days later.
I'm saying by the time it's kind of out on the net.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
So,
I'm following you.
We'll save the...
What I'm doing is I'm keeping you accurate here,
Thank you,
Chris.
sir.
I'm keeping you accurate.
We'll keep the details for
Journalistic integrity is what we on the Computer Action Show are known for.
Of course.
Wow,
But,
your breath is bad right now, dude.
We'll save the
you
details
just
for that.
You just did this of course and breathed over at me, and
I know.
Suddenly I had no more thoughts
I'm
in my
sorry.
head.
You know what I
can't
did?
even I can't even
Check
form
this out.
words that
Check
aren't
this
related
out.
to your breath is bad.
I know, it is awful. Here's
It's
why.
horrible,
Here's what
dude.
I did. Get this.
Oh man.
So, the lady and I wanted to figure out lunch, right? So you know what I did?
No,
I
I
just
don't
had like
know
this
what you did.
inspiration, dude. So she had a green pepper and a yellow pepper in the fridge.
Okay, okay. I see where this is going.
So what did I do? Went and got a stack of strips of bacon, took scissors and cut it into pieces, threw that in the pan, cooked it up all nice and crispy. Then I scooped the bacon out and put it on a paper towel.
Okay.
Then I threw in chopped up onion and chopped up garlic.
Okay.
Sauteed that for like 30 minutes. Then I threw in chopped up chicken breast.
What?
Cooked that. Then I took those green peppers, chopped off the top so that they're like cups.
Sure.
Bowls.
I filled them up with it.
I put them in the broiler and broiled them a little bit of grill marks into them, and then filled them with that garlic, chicken, bacon stuff,
God.
and ate that for lunch.
Oh Lord in heaven.
And that's what I keep belching up.
That's about what it smells like.
You're welcome.
It smells like 3-day-old version of what you
You
just described.
are well. And then on top
Good
of that, I've
Lord.
thrown in an energy drink and a Diet Coke, and then also some candied peanuts. So
Some candied peanuts. I was wondering where that weird little tinge was coming from. Now I know it's candied peanuts.
all right, Brian. Well, that's all the
Candied
news
peanuts? Who eats those? Seriously? Come
for
on.
this
I
week.
haven't had those since the 80s, dude.
All right.
Best part of the show is not about computers at all.
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Of course I'm ready.
OpenSUSE review.
Take 2.
Version 1.
Part
Point 2.
All right. I want to grab another beverage real quick.
All right.
Anybody want something from the fridge?
No.
Let me show you something real quick and ask if I can fix it. Or if it's
God, I gotta pee.
What?
you see a little bit of the it's not quite keying out. All the way on that corner of the screen.
Ryan,
See,
you fool box.
Brian wasn't standing there. Is there anything I can do to kind of better that image?
Well, you can probably play with the like spells over here. You're welcome. You can probably play with the. Oh, you know what else you can do? Check this out. Oh, hello, hi. That's us. That's us.
That's gonna be in the recorded version.
Yeah, I know. Hello. Internet, hello. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we are fixing stuff. We are fixing stuff. Boy, it's nice and warm over here with that heat ray.
I know.
Yeah.
At least my left side, and I guess your butt.
Yeah. So, it's this shot you want to change, right?
Yes.
So you could play with the key if you want to.
Yes, I could. Yep. I had just forgotten how. You've been babysitting me on this program for so long since it keeps crashing. Yeah, I can do it. Go get your drinks.
Let's check that. That might have done it right there.
Well, now you have to click on it. Actually, it's more prevalent in this shot.
It's better, right?
That was an improvement, yeah.
All right, let's see how that looks. Yeah. Does that look better?
Yes.
Hi there. My name's Chris, and I'm doing a podcast on the internet. You know, the thing about podcasts, Jeremy, is good or bad? You're shaking your head. Is that good or bad? Is it okay? Oh. All right, I'm going to grab a beverage, and then we're ready to go.
Getting a beverage.
Getting a beverage. I want some chocolate. You want some chocolate? Why do I have such a sweet tooth today, huh?
I don't know. Anything that makes your breath improve. Garlic, onion, pepper, bacon, chicken mash.
It was tasty, I tell you what.
Sounds delicious.
And then putting it in those peppers as like the bowl. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
They used to do something similar at my college's mess hall. Actually, they would do like this.
With ground beef. Oh,
Yeah, it was ground beef and bacon and salsa and stuff inside of a hollowed out tomato with cheese on the top. What?
It's already gone.
Well, then, did you hear it?
Cheese on the top. That's all I know.
That's all you heard? They had a similar thing at the mess hall at the college where I went. It was like ground beef and bacon and salsa and
Was it good?
inside a hollowed out tomato.
You went to college? Yeah, you went to college.
A whole year.
Nice. I almost went for a year. 1 quarter at Cogswell, 2 quarters at Everett Community College.
To be honest,
Dropped
I almost
out.
went for a year. My college GPA is, I think, 0.8.
Mine was very, very good. What's in the middle?
Raisins.
Yuck.
You don't like raisins?
Oh, I love raisins. I just don't like chocolate and raisins together. It's like I wouldn't eat chocolate and grapes.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're going to have to carry me on this one.
What? Didn't you install it?
I didn't have a chance. I was too busy fighting Ustream.
Did you?
I like,
He's running it right now.
no. This is
Oh, no,
Ubuntu.
you're not.
Yeah. No, I installed it like weeks ago.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we did it.
Oh,
Hey, Jeremy.
We got
Remember
it.
how you were giving me a hard time about being prepared earlier? I like the idea that everyone thinks I'm always unprepared,
Let's go.
but yet I know more than anyone.
I'm ready. Well, I'm not done chewing. I'm not ready. Sorry. False
Dude,
alarm.
no, you're ready. I'm going to carry you anywhere.
Okay.
All that ridicule I heaped on you, Brian, I'm going to now take it back and give it to Chris.
Ridicule ball.
Ready?
Ready.
Yeah, I'm waiting on you right now.
Last episode, we did a quick review. Well, not a quick review. We did our review, first part of OpenSUSE 11.2,
Yeah, buddy.
which, as we mentioned previously, is going to be coming out here in the next day, 2 days. And we talked mostly about the KDE version of OpenSUSE. That's now the default for OpenSUSE 11.2, is the new KDE 4 desktop. It looks great. We spent most of our time talking about that. But there's still a GNOME desktop on there, and it still is a very polished GNOME desktop, and they're not taking the focus away from it. That's just not the default at install.
You bet.
So we want to take some time and talk about the GNOME side of things, just to be fair
Absolutely.
and balanced.
And to start out, we should mention a couple of under-the-hood things. So it does ship with GNOME 2.28.
Everything
and
ships
also-
with 2.28 now.
And
Yeah.
also Linux kernel 2.6.3.1, which is not always necessarily. Some guys are still going with kernel 2.6.2.7. 2.6.2.3.1 or 2.6.3.1. The reason why you care about that, the reason why you care is because it includes USB 3.0 support. And if you're going to have any USB 3.0 devices, you got to have that version of the kernel.
That's so true.
Little bit to know about.
So very true.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about how this bad Mamma Jamma looks.
Okay.
GNOME on openSUSE looks incredibly nice.
They've done a very nice job. That's something that I've always liked about OpenSUSE. They've always spent considerable time on the theme, and the theme has never been brown.
It's great looking. It's great looking, and they've really spent some time making it feel like it's an integrated GNOME desktop. They've
really
decided
is.
to go with a Pigeon instead of like Epiphany, right? That's the other chat program that Ubuntu went with,
Right.
which I don't use.
Right, and that's what the current version of Mandriva is going with as well.
A lot of
is
people are
Epiphany,
switching over, yeah.
And honestly, I think it was a mistake to stick with Pigeon. To be honest with you, I mean, Pigeon's been around. Pigeon's worked for a long time, but honestly, come on, it hasn't moved a lot in the recent year.
Why don't you have
or
any love? I mean,
12
it's-
years.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess
I mean,
it
this
just
is my
got
thing.
video
It's
chat
time-
support.
Yeah,
It
but
just
same
got-
with Epiphany. So
Yeah,
this
okay.
is the thing,
All
and
right,
Epiphany
all right,
hasn't
I
been
gotcha.
around. Anyway, so there's a few knocks against the current OpenSUSE on the GNOME side of things, strictly because of the apps they chose to bundle. And I kind of had the same knocks against OpenSUSE for the KDE version as well.
Like, really?
I mean, the OpenOffice is great. I love OpenOffice. It works very, very well, and I understand why they chose OpenOffice over KOffice for the KDE side. I know that they did that because, OpenOffice is stable, and the KOffice is still, not all of the apps are final yet, and it's not ready to be, fully supported yet. That said, I'm looking at that on the KDE side and thinking, KOffice would have just been a more cool choice.
I see what you're saying.
And on this side of things, on the GNOME side of things, my two big gripes there are Firefox and Pigeon.
All right.
Firefox
That's fair.
has been around, it's established, and I know people know it. However, there are really cool browsers that could be bundled in there. Epiphany is the one that really jumps out at me. Or Empathy? Epiphany. Which one? There's the Messenger and the browser is very cool, and I would like to see that change. And
right.
And that's my big gripe there. Otherwise, the desktop feels well put together. It feels like they thought about it.
I really
when
like
they
the look and
designed
feel
it
of
all. It's like
it feels like a pro GNOME desktop.
Yeah, it feels like 6 months ago they sat down and before they started working on the other features, they said, okay, what's it all going to look like? And they figured that out, and it was done. And then they pulled everything else in together and made it work right together.
And that's to say their KDE edition looks really good too. It's just sometimes there was, I guess there was some concern that by switching to KDE as their default selection in the installer,
that the emphasis would be taken off of GNOME.
I don't really.
That
feel
doesn't
that's
seem
the case
that way.
at all.
No. It is definitely a state-of-the-art GNOME desktop. In that any GNOME desktop can really be state-of-the-art right now. Come on.
It is starting to feel a little old.
It's a little old and a little long in the tooth. I mean, they're trying to fix that with GNOME 3 and all that, but that's not quite here yet. But this one looks very, very good. It looks cohesive. It looks well put together, much like Ubuntu does with their GNOME desktop.
Yeah.
I would say that of the various GNOME desktops out there, this is definitely one of the better. OpenSUSE has been around for a while, of course, and it's really differentiated itself as being a classy desktop that makes sense on the Linux side, whereas a lot of other ones, and I'm not going to bash on Fedora too much right now, but
you
just
mentioned Fedora, though.
like a Fedora is a good example. It's a big desktop, but their focus is not to feel like everything's really tightly integrated. Fedora is more of a kind of a playground for a lot of technology.
Spotlighting upcoming technology.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel really well put together. OpenSUSE feels well put together.
That, yeah.
It feels cohesive. It feels like there's a vision for it, and they did a nice job of executing it.
I understand what your words are, and
I'm so glad you do, man, because I've been sitting here for a long time. I'm like, does Chris understand what any of my words are?
Now you have resolution to that question.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Man,
so they
today is an epic day for me.
To continue the theme, they're also shipping Moblin in this.
No, I haven't had a chance to try this out at all. Did you try out Moblin on the OpenSUSE side?
I didn't because the only system I'd really want to use Moblin on is
come on now.
It is my triple
This is
PC.
not the Torture Brian action show. This is the smell in the studio is getting epic, man.
You're welcome.
I love how proud you are of this moment.
Well, it is pretty outrageous. I mean, it's starting to bother me a little bit, and it's coming from me,
dude. Okay, you were saying something about technology or something.
Probably.
I don't remember.
I was just gonna say the only device I have that I could try Moblin on to really get a full effect for it is
the Triple E.
And my Triple E is a Celeron, not an Atom.
No, that's fair.
And Moblin, no working on the Celeron.
No, I had
Bummer.
this running on the HP Mini 1000. So I could have tried Moblin, but I didn't. But I've tried Moblin in the past, and Moblin's great. It doesn't seem like from what I'm reading that there's really any OpenSUSE changes to Moblin, other than the way you can install it. I thought was kind of cool. They called it the Goblin One-Click.
Yes.
It's not an official name apparently, but OpenSUSE has that great one-click install. That's easy to install stuff. So if you want to install Moblin, they call it the Goblin. You just click it once. You can try out Moblin. I didn't try it. It may not work at all. In fact, it may just put a lot of viruses and porn on your computer.
Probably not. Though.
I'm assuming it doesn't, but I can't say from experience.
Here's an interesting thing, Brian. So, like I mentioned earlier, this is rocking Linux 2.
I really hope, though, that there are blogs out there that quote us as installing Moblin and OpenSUSE might fill your hard drive with porn and viruses.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, I'm assuming not. That would be totally ridiculous. However, we did say that. If you were to quote us on that, you would be accurate, and that would be filled with journalistic integrity. I am totally okay with that, bloggers.
Now,
if you do, send me links.
do you want to comment at all about this the social networking notes that we have here? Because I was going to make a comment.
Little.
I was going to comment that just as an interesting point of reference, this I mentioned that this ships with Linux 2.6.31, which has USB 3.0 support. Not really related to OpenSUSE, but this was also the version that had just completed when Linus Torvalds was at a LinuxCon conference, and he said he feels that Linux is bloated and is now, and I'm using, these are Linus's quotes, huge and scary now.
Yeah, I love that.
And he said, we are definitely not streamlined, and it is definitely not a hyper-efficient kernel I envisioned when I started using Linux. And that is kind of his kind of latest comments after just finishing this 2.6.31 release. Now, he later goes on to say that, now that compared to other kernels, we're still crushing it. But
there is huge room for improvement. I love that the
How
guy
honest he is
running
about
up. Yeah, I love how honest and straightforward he is, and I love that he's heading up the kernel project, and he's on top of it. This is a major concern for him because honestly, I think this is a concern for a lot of us. We're looking at the Linux kernel, we're like, holy crap, this thing is getting a little crazy. I mean, with each and every version of the Linux kernel, I mean, how often are you like, man, I just can't wait for that new version of the kernel to come out so I can have massive new features and speed improvements? It really doesn't happen that much. There's a few things here and there, but I would love to see some streamlining, some paring down, some real house cleaning to go on. So this is awesome.
And to that end, now he was talking about stuff that's built into the core of the kernel. But,
yeah.
I mean, the Linux kernel is a modular mofo.
To a point,
yeah. You can link, you can have support for 400 RAID controllers, but that module is only called if that hardware is present in the machine. And that's really nice.
Right. No, it's very, very nice. I mean, it's a good kernel. I would love to see some house
was
cleaning
there anything about the social networking integration we wanted to cover? That's
only that the Gnome side of OpenSUSE is not as socially connected as the KDE side.
I noticed that.
It ships with Gwibber, which is a little Twitter client, which also ties in with Identica and Facebook.
Yep.
And it's a good one. It is a very good one. You'll notice if you follow a lot of big Linux users on Twitter, it'll say, "Hey, sent from Gwibber." And so that's great. I'm glad it's being included. Honestly, all the major distros should probably be including this app or some app like it.
Yeah.
However, on the KDE side, they've got all the really cool KDE 4.3 plasmoids.
Yeah.
You've got, and I hate saying this name, Chakok.
I'm sorry, what, Brian?
Chakok.
Brian, say it again.
Chokok. I don't really know how to say it, but it's a Twitter client, and they've also got Copete, which has Facebook support. And
that's
so
on the KDE side.
The KDE side of OpenSUSE has a lot. Now,
you still also, though, from the GNOME side, you could always load the Air apps. Like TweetDeck and
TweetDeck and everything will run just fine.
Yeah.
And honestly, I love TweetDeck, so that works well. And you can also run a lot of these KDE apps from the GNOME side of things as well.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
It's just not going to feel quite as in place, and you're not going to get the cool plasmoids.
Neither do the Air apps, though. The Air apps also.
Yeah. You're not going to get. I mean, they look nice, but they look out of place.
Exactly.
So that there's that. Otherwise, the general updates to GNOME is kind of the same on the KDE side versus the GNOME side for OpenSUSE 11.2. It's good. It's quality.
But Brian declares that's the science of the matter.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to go with Brian declaring that's the science of the matter because I feel like that makes a point that I'm really smart, and I don't know why. And now I'm regretting having
my initial
replied to that
is the GNOME build of OpenSUSE 11.2 is one of the best GNOME desktops that you're going to currently get. I mean, it's
I'm going to have to draw the line and say
I like the included pigeon and that they're using. I think that's
if you are from my point of view, if using GNOME is your primary concern, if you're a GNOME guy, OpenSUSE is not the best there is. I would tend towards Ubuntu or Linux Mint myself on the GNOME side of things.
Yeah, you might have me with Mint.
For the KDE side, I would go on a limb and say OpenSUSE 11.2 is the best KDE desktop there is. I cannot. Maybe Mandriva 2010 is better. I have not run that fully through its paces, so maybe. But I would say that OpenSUSE 11.2 is a close runner-up to Ubuntu in terms of a good GNOME desktop.
Okay.
I think both have room for improvement, and I think OpenSUSE easily leapfrog Ubuntu as a GNOME desktop with just a couple of tweaks, a couple of changes, in my opinion. They're They don't quite this time around. Now, if you're more of a RPM guy, if you're more used to Red Hat or OpenSUSE, this is just going to be a better choice for you than Ubuntu anyway. But if I were going to recommend this to like a Windows or a Mac using friend, I would recommend they use the KDE side of it because it looks so much more modern. It looks so much cooler.
Right.
That it's really hard to recommend the GNOME side of it, despite the fact that I'm more of a GNOME guy.
Yeah.
I like GNOME a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm used to it.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say that, but I would definitely recommend it over the GNOME side. So it's good. It's
So you're saying
almost
it's-
the greatest there is.
So are you
not
saying
quite.
so then am I understanding that you're saying you think perhaps their KDE implementation is the best KDE distro?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without
I agree
bar
too.
none, without a doubt. Possibly exception to that might be the new Mandriva release. Haven't tried it, can't speak to it. It would be wrong of me to do so.
Okay,
I know
fair
I know we've got a lot of people out there who use the Mandriva like 2009 and swear by it. Up and down is like the end all be all of KDE desktops
Fair
and
enough.
it just works. So
Okay.
it could be that 2010 is amazing.
Hats
Can't
off to
say.
the OpenSUSE guys, though. Another great release, though, because it might be, if like Brian said,
Right.
if you're into if you're not an apt-get person, you're more of an RPM person, or you
Yeah.
like their one-click installs, then there's really nothing wrong with the OpenSUSE GNOME desktop at
No,
all.
nothing at all wrong with it. In fact, if you are more of if let's say mono development's important to you, you gotta go
Oh,
OpenSUSE
yeah, that's a
GNOME.
good point.
You gotta go that route because you're gonna get the builds much easier. Getting it up and running is easier on
Si,
this side of
senor.
things.
Si, senor.
So there definitely are benefits to the OpenSUSE side of things. If I had to stack them, like if you go to DistroWatch and you got that list on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
that lists all the desktops in order of like
Yeah.
powerfulness. I'm not even sure what those numbers are. Like it's got shows like Ubuntu
Popular
with like it has 2,166 what? But I look at this and it's got Ubuntu, Fedora, Mint, and then followed by OpenSUSE. Now, honestly, in terms of quality, I know this is popularity, so it's hits per day, right? I would say OpenSUSE is of a higher quality desktop on the KDE side than any of those, and
Yeah.
on the GNOME side, I would say it falls just below Ubuntu, but definitely above Mint or Fedora.
Right.
So,
Interesting to see
it's
that
worth looking at.
FreeBSD is number 13 on the top Linux distros list.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is just hits per day for them, but
That's still very exciting, yeah.
This list here on DistroWatch, Ubuntu at the top, Fedora at second, third Mint, fourth OpenSUSE, almost would probably pretty closely reflect our web stats. So that's
Very
interesting.
oddly closely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So, I mean, that's really all I've got to say about 11.2. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add into that.
Well, I did want to mention that I thought they made a lot of improvements to their update application. The updates install great, down fast. When they first made the switch,
they are a bit faster,
they switched over to using the. It starts with a Z. It was the used to be the red carpet
I believe it's called ZOMG.
zipper or something like that.
No.
Anyways, the first implementation was a couple releases ago. It wasn't so hot. It was a while ago now, and now down the road, it's improved quite a bit, and they've really polished.
They've really done a lot. Yeah, no, I honestly, if this was the only Linux desktop available, I would be incredibly excited to run this as a
There you have
desktop. It is very, very quality.
All right, everyone. Well, I think that wraps up our review of OpenSUSE 11.2.
Amazing.
Now I think it's time for a little viewer listener feedback.
Oh my gosh, viewer listener feedback. Oh my gosh, viewer listener feedback.
Uh huh. We need to unmute number 6 again.
Unmute number 6 again.
It puts buzz in the audio, so that's why I got up and muted
You put buzz in the audio.
it. I know.
Nokia.
So this is number 7.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you'll need to put your monitors on, Brian.
So you can listen to
Is this my monitors down here?
Yeah. Play something to test them.
I will. Shut up, Holmes.
Check in. Checking the cash. Checking the cash.
Checking the cache.
God damn those guys. Tapping
Hey,
the
Brian
numbers.
and Chris, this is Bill from Sacramento.
Hey, Bill from
I've got a little
Sacramento,
issue with
my
the
fucking
cash. I
hometown.
wonder if you can address it.
You know, we are
I
recording
run a-
this.
I supervise a
No, we're not.
out.
Yeah, we are.
The Wirecast side of it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Brian didn't say the F word just there. You misheard it.
All right, as soon as I get done chewing, I'm ready.
Well, quit stuffing your face.
I didn't realize we were recording the whole thing.
Yeah, buddy.
Damn it.
We even recorded the bathroom break.
Damn it. Now everyone knows my potty schedule.
Choo, choo, choo.
All right, I'm ready.
Checking the cache.
Brian, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to intro this segment.
I was born ready.
Here we go.
I love hearing my voice in my head. That just sounds so good.
Jeremy, can we stop waiting for you?
Ready.
In 5,
Yes.
2,
Great.
go. You know, Brian,
I don't.
it has been a while since we took any listener feedback and questions.
Wow, I think it's been a long while, actually. I think we're talking like
I know,
millennia.
dude. The shows have been running long, so we had to cut them short. We thought, no, we're gonna leave a little bit of space. We're gonna do it. And so that said,
This
Bill,
far and no farther.
the line must be drawn here. So, Bill from Sacramento,
But that is not this day.
you're first up on the Computer Action Show.
Hey, Brian and Chris. This is Bill from Sacramento.
Hey, Bill.
I've got a little issue with Macintosh, and I wonder if you can address it.
Good point.
I supervise a forensics outfit down here in which we do computer forensics for court cases. And about a year ago, we switched over to Mac PowerBooks to do a lot of the work that we do out in the field.
Oh.
And at that time, we purchased Parallels. I'm not sure the version, but it was the newest version. Well, just recently, when Apple released their new version of Snow Leopard, it was relatively inexpensive, I think $35 a copy. So I purchased 21 copies for all of our MacBooks and installed it, and lo and behold, Parallels was broken and wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I realize a lot of it's my fault for not checking to make sure that there were compatibility issues, but I'm just curious, is this Apple's way of being together with other software companies to
Yep.
get you to upgrade to newer versions
Oh, no.
of software?
No.
No,
In
that's
order
not it.
for us to be able to use Parallels, I have to buy the newest version.
Yep.
And like I said, it's a year old. I just think it's really kind of a crappy thing to do, to
Totally crappy.
upgrade your OS, which breaks other things.
Yep.
Have you guys had much experience with this? Anyways, love the show. Keep up the good work, and hope to hear your answer. Thank you.
Well, it's
All right.
interesting
Good
that
call,
you would
Bill.
bring up that particular topic. I've had a lot of issues with that with my own software that I've released over the years. In fact, typically it's a problem. Now, some Mac developers will say, no, this doesn't happen because they're Mac fanboys. And
Sorry, it's
and
cool.
later on, when they're not Mac fanboys anymore, they'll agree that, yeah, this is a problem. Basically what it is almost every time Apple has an OS upgrade, your apps break. This just is the way it is. Now, hopefully the app developers are on top of it enough to get updates out there for everyone.
Right.
In some cases, it's as simple a matter as just rebuilding your app and recompiling it for the new OS. In other cases, Apple will do weird things like they'll have a function and it'll be like, tell everyone my app is awesome, and it'll take 2 parameters. Randomly, they'll say, you know what, in this new version, we're going to take parameter 1 and switch it with parameter 2 in order.
With parameter 2, Brian.
So now you have to go in and find out why that's happening and fix it. So they do a lot of just very weird things. And this is just kind of Apple's way. They're not really committed to backwards compatibility. They've made that very, very clear. They've made a point about telling that to developers. And you just kind of have to live with that.
Now,
the problem is for people like Parallels, it's a very complicated and very large piece of software.
and it hooks them with the kernel.
It takes a ton of work for them to do. And honestly, every time a new OS comes out, I kind of feel for those guys. That's a lot of work to get a new version running.
When it comes to virtualization, that would break with any operating system when you're upgrading the kernel.
Often, yeah.
Any operating system. There's not a single operating system on the planet that if you upgrade the major version of the operating system, your virtualization program is going to break.
Yeah, most likely.
Because all of them install some sort of kernel module on every OS, and you're putting a new kernel in.
Yeah, for the most part, that's generally going to happen. But I mean, usually the app itself can gracefully figure it out. VMware will figure it out and reinstall it on Windows, on Mac, or on Linux. It'll figure it out.
Fusion version 2 did reload the kernel module.
Yeah.
And then Fusion 3 came out with enhanced Snow Leopard support.
Right. But it takes a lot of engineering work to make that happen. So while I
look
look at
what Bill
it,
might do is if just to avoid this is Bill, you might consider looking at VirtualBox because you'll have to reload and you'll have to watch compatibility a little closer. But yeah.
But it's free. It's free. And that's just kind of nice. Also, now that you can also go the VMware Player route, which is free.
And to comment, so Parallels version 5 just came out last week for the Mac.
Yep.
And one thing for Linux users out there to know about is they are now officially supporting Compiz Fusion inside Parallels.
Which is very nice.
Along with Windows 7 Arrow support. So you can get Arrow Glass, or that's what
they're kind of late to the party on this. I mean, VirtualBox and VMware have done this for a while.
VMware doesn't actually officially support an OpenGL accelerated Linux driver.
On the Mac side.
they don't actually. They have the ability in Workstation 7 on Windows side, which isn't out yet.
Okay. I've been kind of torn. Right. Okay.
So for release versions, it's only really Parallels is the only guys that are bringing official support for OpenGL acceleration under Linux,
and VirtualBox.
And VirtualBox,
which has done it for a while.
Yep.
Okay.
So
that is probably a good way to go. That's kind of the way I would trend.
It does seem to be the compatibility breaks the most on the Mac.
Yeah.
And you just have to kind of
that's a thing you have to live with having a Mac. I mean, it's just a downside.
You got to be you have to be more careful with your updates, or you need to test a little harder, and then look for free versions when possible to save money.
Yep.
I know Parallels. I don't remember what their upgrade policy is. VMware usually has a very fair upgrade policy, and so like users of VMware Fusion 1 were able to upgrade to Fusion 2 for free.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to consider, is you might also look at those guys. All right.
Yes.
Moving on, we've got Brad from Columbus.
This is Brad from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, Brad.
I think you're great, Chris, but this one is probably more for Brian.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
I just stumbled upon an article about Vala. I think it's pronounced Vala. You know how Linux stuff is. It's V-A-L-A. It's a C-sharp-like programming language. I was just curious if Brian has ever looked into Vala before, and if so, what he thought of it. I'm a long-time listener, and I know how Brian feels about Mono and Mono Develop, and I pretty much agree with him about all that stuff. And I was just wondering, maybe Vala could give us some of the benefits of Mono without all the religious wars that people like Stallman and Diakaza want to have.
Yeah.
So I was just curious if you guys had read anything about Vala, and if it might be a way out of some of the mess of people rewriting things in Mono. Love the shows. Keep up the great work, guys. If you want to use this in the show, go right ahead. Or if Brian wants to use it for a Coding with Brian segment, that'd be great too.
That'd have been cool.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
We should set up a Coding with Brian email address.
We really should.
Yeah.
Until then, you can just email me directly. But all right. So Vala is just basically C-sharp-ish. It's C-sharp like.
Sorry, I was queuing up Dan.
What are you doing?
I was queuing up Dan.
Just wait for a second. Just hold off. You're getting a little antsy in the pantsy over there.
I wanted
Chris,
to have Dan queued up so that way I could say, now here's Dan.
Well, you know what? You can just say here's Dan while you're double clicking him or whatever.
I'll just make a playlist.
On your
I'll make
desktop.
a playlist.
I don't know if that's going to work. You're going to screw everything up is what you're going to do.
It's all going to blow up. All right, go ahead.
All right. So Vala is C-sharp-ish. In language style, and it is very full featured and is very, very cool. The only issue I really have with C-sharp or with Vala is that it's not C-sharp, and I don't mean that C-sharp is the end all be all of anything. Just that Vala is not really being heavily used in any production environments that I know of. Now, if you do know of Vala being used for shipping applications, or anything like that, definitely write in and let me know, because I'd be very curious. But so far, I really don't know. If you're looking for jobs out there, you're not going to find a lot of Vala jobs. So I tend to not really recommend it to people based on that. That said, it is a great way to go if you're developing GNOME desktop applications, just because it's built with developing GNOME applications in mind, using G-Object and that sort of thing.
Very cool.
So that's very, very neat. It doesn't really get around any of the Mono stuff, simply because the big thing with Mono is, well, you can take a C-sharp app and run it on multiple platforms.
That is kind of a key thing.
And with Vala, I know that is technically possible, but there's a lot more work involved, and it just doesn't. It's not as easy to take a what's a good .NET application like
Paint.
Like Paint
Calc.
over on Windows, like Calc, and just port it over. All right, let's go to the next question.
All right, so Dan calls in.
Chris and Brian, this is Dan out here in the Bay Area.
Hey, Dan.
I'm running Ubuntu 8.10. I've been running it exclusively for a long time. I still haven't upgraded because of that whole Xorg thing with the Intel chipset.
Yeah.
But
Can't blame you.
You might want to go 9.10.
I have had no problems with this. I've been really happy completely on Linux for a while, except for today. I got a friend who runs a webcomic, and he asked me to do a guest strip as a joke. And I had the hardest time trying to find something I could just put word bubbles on an image file, and I tried New Paint.
Thought you might know
I
this
used Inkscape, the vector drawing, and nothing seemed to be able to do that. I was wondering, what are our options when it comes to working on things like webcomics? And GIMP is great, but GIMP just is not going to do everything. It's a photo editing program. It's not.
And he just wants to make a quick
I live with two
bubble.
artists that use Corel. all the Corel suites and things like that, all the really
they're nice,
expensive artistic stuff. And
yep.
They laugh at me every time I try to do anything majorly creative that doesn't involve writing a story or something. So, yeah, let me know. I haven't had a whole lot of luck coming up with anything, so let me know what there is out there for painting software and illustrating software for Linux and open source. Thank you very much. Bye.
You betcha, man. There are some options. All right, so I kind of feel your pain on this one. I spent a fair bit of time working on comics myself, which, if you follow my blog, you can find out more information on that over at lunduke.com. Can I say that a lot?
Yeah, I think it's the first time you said at the show.
Oh, I'm awesome. Okay. So there are some options there. If you're wanting to do speech bubbles and simple things like that, Inkscape is doable, but it is a lot of work. You can get very nice results from it, very nice, smooth anti-alias lines.
But you literally are talking about like a 30-second process, open a picture, add a speech bubble, close the picture, right?
Yeah, and now if you want to do that, there's only one application available currently. It's Radical Comic Designer. You can get over there over at radicalbreeze.com. That's one of my applications that I developed specifically for Linux. There's a Windows version available also, but it's kind of an afterthought, really. And I developed that simply because there's really not a lot of options available. Now, you'll notice, though, if you really want to get a lot of great quality, you got to spend some time with Inkscape. If you want to just whip out some speech bubbles and just make it quick and dirty and get it done, it's not going to be quite as fine-tuned and glorious as the results you can get with Inkscape and the GIMP and really working on it. But Radical Comic Designer will do it for you.
Now, have you checked out Pixton.com? It looks kind of basic.
Yeah, it's fairly basic. Yeah, it's fair. It's fairly basic.
So I'm looking at Pixton.com, and it lets you throw chat bubbles up on the thing. Yeah, that might be. I think probably what Dan's looking for might be more like the Radical Comic Designer, what's it called?
Yeah, Radical Comic Designer.
I got it.
Yeah.
So that might be more of Dan's route because that's probably more what he accomplishes what he wants to do. But you might also try out Pixton.com.
Pixton's great. Pixton's a good way to go. But both will work totally fine. I do recommend, though, Inkscape's a great route if you really want to spend time with it.
All right, Brian. Next up, we've got Foss Lover in Seattle.
Hey, Chris and Brian. I'm more of an open source guy than I'm a free software guy.
Nice.
But your little thing on the Free Software Foundation seemed a little over the top.
Nice.
That's good.
I
wouldn't want to be under the
I don't know. It's kind of a little trolly, I thought. The Free Software Foundation does a lot of really good things, Maybe you should look a little deeper into that. I mean, they do some weird stuff, too, like the Windows 7 sins, but I don't know about attacking them, at homonyms like that. That seems a little
I totally did.
Trolly. Yeah.
I didn't remember.
But
we were jerks.
Okay so far. You guys are better when you're fun than you are when you're
angry. We're grumpy.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.
I just want to say this. You know what? You do have actually a pretty good point there, Foss Lover in Seattle. We are more fun when we're not too grumpy. But just the same, I just want to point out that you mentioned that they do a lot of good stuff. No examples. They do a lot of weird stuff. Boom, you gave one example right off the top of your head.
Nice.
I'm just saying, I can't actually off the top of my head think of all the good stuff they've done recently.
Oh, okay. But you're not saying overall in all of history.
No, not all of history. I'm just talking like the last year or two. I just can't really, can you, off the top of your head, what's the greatest thing they've done in the last year or two?
The only thing I can think of is the really embarrassing stuff like the anti-DRM campaign where they harassed innocent people, and then there was also the Windows 7 sins.
Yeah, or the one where they told everyone to go and waste Apple's time by going into the Apple stores and yelling at the Apple geniuses working in there and all that sort of thing. That was just kind of a jerk.
I know there's been some positive stuff, but that stuff doesn't get as much attention probably.
See, that's just it. Okay.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Should we move on?
If you have a lot of examples of the great stuff they've done in the last year or two, call in and let us know.
Ken calls in. He has some Hackintosh feedback for us.
Sweet.
Hi, guys. My name is Tim, calling from Indiana. You guys do a great job on the show.
Thanks, sir.
I've been listening since you were the Linux Action Show. I'm not too fond of the new name, but I understand the direction you're headed. So,
sweet.
Wish you guys the best of luck. I do want to give you some feedback on Season 1, Show number 2 of the Computer Action Show.
Bring it on.
Where you're talking about building your own Mac system. You can build a Mac system cheaper than Apple can sell you one, but they're a company. They have to make a profit somewhere, and everybody knows that Apple has a huge markup on their systems, and you're not just paying for the hardware itself, you're paying for the design and in the hardware. And so, open source community is great, and I love it. It provides some great software, but a lot of people don't want to build their own system from scratch.
All right, Ken, where are you going with this?
The other thing is about you guys keep mentioning that the MacBook Air seems to be like the.
All right, we're done. I know where he's going.
Where's he going with this? I don't know where he's going.
So basically, what his point was is that you can build your own Hackintosh, but there's some inherent value in going with the pre-built Macintosh systems. So, and there's definitely a solid point there.
Okay.
I thought it was fair to cover the other side of the spectrum.
Is that the other side?
I guess. So, all right. So let's move on to Simon in Cambridge.
Yes.
Hey, Brian and Chris. It's Simon from Cambridge in the UK.
Okay, pause it.
Just want to say, love the news.
What?
Oh, people with accents. Okay, play again.
You mean like 40% of our audience?
I know.
Computer Action Show. Great show.
Thanks, man.
And I really appreciate the amount of work that obviously goes into making it such a professional show, that the Linux Action Show.
Hear that? We're professional.
Oh, now I feel bad.
Got a quick point.
It's not talking about you, Jeremy.
I tried to register some hosting with GoDaddy.com and use your Linux 20 code, which they've told me is invalid.
What?
So I don't know if it's an international thing.
No, it shouldn't.
I tried writing to their support guys, and they've confirmed by email that it's an invalid code. So I can forward that on to you if you wish. Just let me know. I'm not going to mention my email, but if you say on the show where you want me to send it, I'll send it to you if you're interested.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.
So that we've had a couple of reports, and so I contacted GoDaddy, and they're if you had any troubles with the Linux 20 promo code before with Linux code, that should be all resolved. It does work internationally.
It's supposed to anyway.
So it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But
I know people have done it.
Yep. And there was a couple of days where it wasn't working. So if anybody's had troubles,
it's every now and then people tend to have problems with it. But once we contact GoDaddy or you contact GoDaddy, they tend to get on top of it pretty fast and get that taken care of.
And if you want something quick, just shoot me a Twitter or on Facebook. I'm Chris LAS on either one, and I'll follow up quickly. And GoDaddy does have a support for their promo code you can find on their site too. But we do appreciate people following up on that because, honestly, we're really appreciative when you guys think of us.
We sure are.
All right, now, if you would like to leave us a voicemail for a future episode of the Computer Action Show, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. If you have one of those fancy calling plans, you can call our voicemail at, that's a number 1 for the country code.
+1.
425-533-2217. Or you can hit us up on Skype. We are Linux Action Show on Skype. I think we'll probably change that eventually.
We should update that, yeah.
And then, of course, there's other great ways to get a hold of us.
Almost an entire full season into the new show, and we have not updated.
There's other entirely fancy ways over at jupiterbroadcasting.com, and then click up on the top contact link. And that gives you more information on how to get a hold of the show.
It's amazing.
All right, Brian, well, I think that wraps up the listener feedback. We've got a bunch more calls, and so I'm still planning to do a separate episode to address more of the calls. These were a couple of older ones in the queue, so I wanted to make sure we played them because I know those folks have been waiting for a response for a while.
They sure have.
All right, Brian, let's wrap up the user, listener, viewer feedback.
What are you talking about, man? Let's stop talking for now.
Right now. Click. All right. So we just got to wrap, right? We're done?
Let's do the ending and the intro.
All right.
Let's do the ending and the intro.
Pop, pop. Hey, Jay Rams, will you mute number 6?
Ow. You don't need those things anymore.
Let me take mine off, too. Because they don't come out so well on the key. All right. Ready when you are.
Penis. Go. I do believe that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast.
You bet, Brian.
I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us.
Yeah, buddy.
On this fine autumn day.
I got to mention, Brian, over at facebook.com/JupiterBroadcasting, we gave away a batch of wave invites, and there's 10 more coming out this week.
10 more?
10 more wave invites.
That is a
So if you want to get on what is the broken mess that is wave
invites,
over at facebook.com, join our fan page.
If you want to be frustrated by Google Wave, we can help.
That's right. And that's also the place where I'll be giving away some more Google Voice invites when I get them. So is there anything else we want to talk about in this show? Should we mention the fact that they can contact us on Twitter? I am twitter.com/ChrisLAS.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm Brian Lunduke, all one word. It's fantastic.
We've
Facebook,
also got
Twitter, whatever have you.
The fantastic forums over at jupitercolony.com.
That's a fantastic domain name. I'm just going to say that, Chris.
I do like that domain name,
I love
Brian.
that domain name. It makes me feel all sci-fi and fancy. And
speaking of sci-fi, if you want to get your sci-fi gaming on, you've got to check out our new show, Stoked.
Stoked. All about Star Trek Online, and really it's just us sitting around being geeky for an hour or so. It's pretty solidly good times.
All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up this episode.
That's the show. We got a guy behind the camera right now doing everything. We let him come out of the dungeon just every now and then for that show. That's right. So if you want to see him from the dungeon, you got to tune into Stoked.
Now, the Computer Action Show comes out every 2 weeks, so we'll be back in a fortnight.
Awesome.
Time for an intro. What do you think we should say? Time for an intro. What do you think we should say?
I want the intro.
This
Everybody
week
does the intro.
On the Computer Action Show.
Oi, let's do the Computer Action Show, eh?
This week on
Oi. If you're watching this version of it, so sorry, Simon. Didn't mean to be a dick. I find accents funny. Because I obviously don't have one because I'm from America.
This week on the Computer Action Show.
See, that's not an accent. You know what I'm saying? That's just that's awesome, is what it is. It's just me speaking awesome.
I don't even know if I can try to do that.
This week on the Computer Action Show. That was British, right? No, that was Teddy on that particular time. It was a little subdued. I don't know if you could tell. There's many shades of gray of that accent. Man, I wish I could do a great accent. Like, I wish I could just whip one out. I could just be like, here's me. I'm from Wales. I can't do it. Okay, here's French. Oi, I'm from Paris. I don't know. What do they even sound like? I don't know. Oh, it's not easy, guys. I gotta, like Daryl Hammond on Saturday Night Live can, like, whip out, like, half of every accent on the planet. I have huge amounts of respect for that because I can't whip a single one out.
What? What are you whipping out?
I am from Paris. No, see, I don't even know what that is.
Almost kind of like the IKEA guy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, can I do an IKEA accent?
You might have just done
Hello. My name is Ingvar. I make furniture. It's made of plywood.
All right, how's this look for...
I can totally do Swedish now. Nice.
How's this look for show notes?
Awesome. Any accent that's from the West Coast of the United States, I can do. That's all I'm saying.
How's that look?
So not everyone can say that.
Hey, Brian.
I'm just saying.
Brian, how's that look?
I'm not really sure. I'll do it live. All right, this week in the Computer Action Show, there's so many extra letters there. I love it. Skype just might be going open source.
Is Skype going open source? You want to do that?
No, hold on. Skype just might be going open source. I mean, we don't know for sure, but it's entirely possible. I kind of almost want to draw that one out. Red Hat requires you to run Windows, and Mandriva's got a new release. Got a big new release. We give you all the deets. You don't like deets? No. All right. Then we give you part 2 of our openSUSE 11.2 review. Reviewing. Plus a bunch of listener feedback. Yeah, all right. Wait. Skype just might be going open source. I mean, we don't know. It's possible. We're not really sure yet, but it might be. Red Hat requires you to run Windows. Yeah or nay?
Yeah.
You declare it.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
All right.
I mean, I'll go for it. I might even have like a little effect or something.
Can I headphone it for this one?
Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise, I can't hear when I'm clipping.
I turned you down a bit already.
That's probably a good idea, Jeremy.
Just give me a this week on the computer.
This week on the Computer Action Show. All right. Are we recording? Let me know when we're recording.
We're recording.
Awesome.
You good there, buddy? You okay?
That was a filet-o-fish. I'm ready now. This week on the Computer Action Show, Skype just might be going open source. I mean, we don't know for sure. It might be. It's entirely possible. They've said they were thinking about it, but they haven't got it. We don't know yet. Red Hat requires you to run Windows, and Mandriva's got a big new release. We give you the details. Then, we give you part 2 of our OpenSusa 11.2 review, plus a bunch of listener feedback. Oh, this week on the Computer Action Show. Did that work? Did that work? Do you think that worked? Yep. I mean, I can take out that little side bit if you don't like it.
It's all good.
All right.
It's all good.
I mean, if you don't like it, just say so. Just say so, big guy.
I like it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the video version. Computer Action Show out.
ZOMG.